Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. And guys, we have some stuff to talk about here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins are going to be dealing with a pretty big shift in the organization this summer. They have a couple of huge pending unrestricted free agents. Some guys that maybe weren't expecting to be big free agents this year from as soon as last year. But there is a lot of change coming in Pittsburgh. So what does this team look like going into the trade deadline? So we're going to go over that. So we're starting to hear some stuff about some guys that could be on their way out of Pittsburgh. So don't be shocked. This is from Josh Yo. Don't be shocked if the Penguins opt to move defenseman Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Pierre-Olivier Joseph was a part of the Phil Kessel trade. I want to say it was the Phil Kessel trade. Might have been the Galchenyuk trade. But one of those two trades, Pierre-Olivier Joseph came the other way, and the expectation was he could be a top four defenseman in the NHL. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's the case. He spent most of this season with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins of the American Hockey League, so I don't know how sold or how confident the Penguins organization is right now in a guy like Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Now, this is also from Josh Yo. Penguins GM Ron Hextall has made it very clear he's not trading their 2022 first-round pick. Pittsburgh would be willing to move Mike Matheson, but only for something legit in return. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, a candidate to be moved. So I see what the Penguins are doing here. Mike Matheson, a big contract that they probably want to get off the blue line. I could see that making sense. As well as keeping the first round pick. I get where they're coming from here. This is a deep first round. And the Penguins look like they're going to be a playoff team. But you cannot undervalue the importance of your draft picks, especially in those first three rounds. They are extremely valuable. So I think for Pittsburgh, they're thinking to themselves, hey, you know what? We're looking at this as a situation where we need to bring players into our prospect pool. We're not necessarily sold on some of our own young guys, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we need to bring in new guys. And I think keeping your first round pick is going in that direction. And it absolutely makes sense. So this is from Mike DeFabro. The Penguins are hoping to add a backup goaltender and depth on the blue line. So I could definitely see the Penguins being a team swinging on guys like Mark Giordano, Ben Chiarot, but they may go after some maybe lesser defensemen. Maybe a guy like Calvin DeHaan over on the Chicago Blackhawks might be a little bit cheaper for them to get. I don't think the Islanders would trade Chara to the Penguins, but that's something you could look at if you're looking there. I don't see a trade with the Flyers, but again, throwing it out there, Justin Braun, that would be an interesting fit there for the Penguins. So those are the kind of guys you're looking at on the blue line. In between the pipes, I look at maybe another rival here. Joonas Korpisalo, I think would be a great fit for the Pittsburgh Penguins here for the remainder of this season. The problem is a lot of the goalies that are available are kind of like divisional rivals, right? Korpisalo of the Blue Jackets, Varlamov of the Islanders. So what are you really looking at here? It's going to be difficult, and there's going to be a lot of other teams ponying up some assets for those types of guys. So it's going to cost the Penguins that much more if they make that deal. So we'll see how this all works out. But the Penguins are going to kind of have to figure this one out for themselves. They could try and work something with Vancouver. We've been, hearing them linked to a couple of guys, which I'll get to. So that's what you're looking at there. Now, talking about Kris Letang. So this is from Josh Yo. It's easy to envision Kris Letang leaving the Penguins in free agency this summer. Now, the good thing about that is it will free up some cap space for the Penguins. And it may keep them from signing probably a contract they will regret in a year or two. But that sucks. Losing Letang on the blue line, he's been a top pairing defenseman for the Penguins for more than a decade at this point. So losing Letang definitely is a blow here to Pittsburgh, but I understand what the mindset is. Letang's looking to make some big money. He's had a great season for the Penguins this year, and he's looking to cash in one more check to the bank here, and I don't blame him for doing that. I could see him going to Montreal. I know Canadiens fans they're either too thrilled or they're either, super upset with that thought. But I think Kris Letang could end up going back closer to home. I could see Montreal being a fit there, but that would definitely be a big blow for the Penguins. So now we continue that. The Penguins would be willing to move Mike Matheson, but only for a legit return. The problem is, when they traded for Mike Matheson, everybody was hacking up in disgust in Pittsburgh because that was not a good trade with the good Branson deal. So I don't know what they're looking at in terms of value here for Mike Matheson. You're not going to get a first round pick. You're damn sure not going to get a second or third. I don't really know what the mindset is there for a Matheson trade. But that's a contract you're going to have a hard time getting out of. So now this is kind of an interesting thought here. So this is, if the Penguins could move Poulin or Leggere for win-now pieces, they'd consider it. Now this also leads me to what we're talking about with Kasperi Kapanen. Many people within the Penguins organization are frustrated with Kasperi Kapanen. He's actually done pretty well here this past week, but it's been a struggle all season in Pittsburgh. He's been really low on the depth chart and kind of experiencing some of the same issues he had in Toronto at the end of his tenure in Toronto. So that's definitely something to look at. Those are some guys that could be, instead of the Penguins trading their first round pick, could it be a guy like Kapanen? Could it be Leger? Could it be a guy like Pierre-Olivier Joseph? Samuel Poulin? Now the question is, well, if they're throwing these assets around, who are they looking to bring in? Now this is the one that I definitely see a fit for. And this is from Rick Dhaliwal over in Vancouver. It's a little hint there. The Pittsburgh Penguins could have trade interest in Canucks forward Brock Besser. Now you have to remember the context here. It's not that the Canucks have checked in on the Penguins if they want. It's not the Penguins checking in or have been linked to Brock Besser. It's could have trade interest. Now, there's definitely a reason that a fit could be there. Oh, something got stuck in my eye. All right, so we fixed that. So the Pittsburgh Penguins have been could be interested in Brock Besser. Yeah, I definitely see that being on the table. And the reason for that is they're kind of looking for a guy to play on that second line. And especially if they lose a guy like Brian Rust, Evgeny Malkin this summer, maybe if they trade Kapanen, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces there. And then they have to figure out, do they want to keep Evan Rodriguez? So the Penguins are going to be going all over the place. So if they want to get some guys to return, or maybe have a guy like Brock Besser who can score in the top six, I definitely see that being a fit. And again, as long as the Canucks are interested in some of the guys there, and again, Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford, who drafted some of those players, you could definitely see that being a situation that works for both sides, right? Kind of similar to what we've seen with the Canadiens and the Rangers recently. The Canadiens wanting some of the Rangers prospects, and coincidentally, the same prospects that Jeff Gorton drafted in New York, he wants up in Montreal, right? So there is some correlation there. But with that said, it's going to take them a decent amount. It's going to take them some assets if they want to get that deal done. But again, if you want to bring in Brock Besser, you need to move out some salary somewhere. And that's where the Penguins are going to run into more issues. So that is it for today's video, guys. Comment down below. What would you like to see in a Brock Besser trade? Would you like to see a Brock Besser trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins? Let me know down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again next time.